Welcome to the Late Flight Show. Now, wow. Now, I know a lot of people are curious about what I'm talking about today. And I've gotten so many questions in the past. People asking me, what do you think? Is he or isn't he? I even made a gosh darn documentary about this, which is available in the description below. Just to try and make it easy for a sister out here in these trying times. In these trying times of men wearing skirts, it's hard to know if actors are just really all trisexuals. And here on the Late Flight Show, when they go low, we go high. We fly high above on the high road. So let's talk about acting and trisexualing. Yes, actors are. That's the short answer. But why are they is the more interesting topic. Because think about it, why would somebody perhaps find it fine to try anything for a movie role, for a part, for a shoot, photography, for example? Why would somebody agree to going gay for pay, for example? Is it because they want to act? They want to discover the character? Or is it because they just want the money? Or is it just because that's what they want to do and they are using acting as an excuse? Now, civilians don't understand much about acting. So, actors know that living life experience is a very necessary part of being able to show up on set and actually do your job well. And part of that means trying everything and being able to understand how to realistically produce it. Now, obviously, we talked earlier on Sunday services about how you have to decide what kind of actor you want to be. And some of you aren't going to do those roles, but some of you don't know either way and are willing to try it. And oftentimes, you guys get horribly labeled and aspersions cast upon your character because of what you are doing for your acting work, which is just researching and understanding. So, those particular actors sometimes end up getting confused and identifying with a particular group that isn't really theirs, but they aren't able to separate acting and actual orientation, and then they end up getting lost, and as my acting teacher would say, end up in rocking the daisies with their panties on their head. And it's sad, but it's understandable how it happens, because actors are not trained to understand that they are not civilians. See, if a civilian, let's say a teacher, a school teacher, that's a good civilian job. If a school teacher wanted to try something, society society would label them as something, and that person might probably be that something. Uh-oh. But for actors, extreme example, very extreme. But you know, we're dramatic here on the Late Flight Show. But now take an actor who tries the same thing the teacher tried, maybe with the math teacher, and now the actor comes in and does something with an acting their scene partner. That is different because that's character analysis, that's research. And by the way, either way, it doesn't matter what the civilians do, they shouldn't be labeled either. But what I'm saying is, as an actor, remember who you are and not to get confused while you are trying and sexualing and trisexualing your life. Just remember that it is a try to aid your work. And that of course, if you want to do it more, as more people do, as some people do, great, then pursue the listen, just like there are people who would love to do it, there are people who would only like to try it and not really do it. And I'm speaking to those people who just want to try it. That it doesn't define their character. And those who do it as well, it doesn't define their character. It's funny how we're not really saying what it is, but we all know exactly what we're talking about. Because that's the power of acting. So yes, I mean, when civilians come to me then and say, oh, I'm thinking of dating this guy, but he's an actor, what should I do? What do you think? I'm like, well, are you ready for a roller coaster ride? No, I don't say that. In my mind, I say that. But I mean, unless you understand that, and then they also say they start dating, then they say, oh, he's a cheater, he's cheating. It's not cheating if you're an actor. Because it's your job to get chemistry and you have to practice. Is that crazy? Is that weird? Like, don't you want to do a good job? That's why I, in a couple of days ago, said it's better to just be alone. But go great, have your life, but just understand then that it's not going to be the normal kind of life. And look, this is not my opinion. Look at the acting world. Just look. How many people are in traditional marriages? And by that I mean they actually see each other every day, sleep in the same bed every day, not apart more than a week. It doesn't exist. So I feel like Roma Downey in Touched by an Angel. So I've been sent by God to tell you that God loves you and He wants you to prosper and cherishes you. And you can be a trisexual if you want to. Just remember that you're an actor and don't get caught up in society's vilification of you. And I mean, besides, actors will always, I need a nice rim light. Mark Burnett, where are you? Where are you right now? So the actors will then get married to a woman and then they say it's a beard. But we don't really know, and it's none of our business how they choose to express themselves. And I think that crosses the line between, professionalism, like, okay, you can talk about the movie and the performance, but don't say that the wife is a beard because you don't know. You aren't there with them, you know what I mean? So it's also society's kind of attitudes that even make this conversation a thing, because in my mind it doesn't matter, everyone should be a trisexual, and then maybe they wouldn't be so miserable and ruining other people's lives. But in particular for actors, um, in order for them to not lose their talent or their essence or their love of performing, it's important to be fearless and to understand that just because you act like, as a serial killer in a movie, it doesn't mean you are a serial killer. And that applies to everything. So, if you take your experiences and use them as a way to fuel your acting, it can really help. I mean, after I was molested by those white boys in high school, yes, it was a violation and it was awful. But after I decided that the only way to protect myself would be to kind of um, objectify myself in a way that would make them feel less threatened, I guess, or I don't know, whatever, just to ingratiate myself. And that's what we talked about in the Kate Hudson one. But just that act opened me up to having to try things, not because I wanted to, but because I thought it was the only way to protect myself. Now, was it wrong? Obviously, because it was a violation, but as an actor, we use that kind of stuff in our performances so that we can not make it mean nothing, so that it means something, and not for the world or for other little kids across the globe, but for yourself. Because a major question that you ask yourself when you are sexually violated is, or just violated in general, is what did I do to deserve it? And I know it sounds crazy to people who haven't been through it, and it's like, why would you think you deserved it? But it's not it's not an intellectual deserving. It's like more of a spiritual, or like a God, an existential question of what did I do to, like, did I kill someone in a past life, if those are real? Am I going to kill someone in the future, so they had to stop me? Like, what did I literally do to deserve this? And you end up believing that it's something you did, and therefore it's something you can control. And so you end up trying a lot of things out of your will or control, really, because the human brain isn't even formed fully until the age of 26. So you're just being really reactionary and trying to protect your body as an organism, as a living being. So, in that instance, trying things is obviously abusive and not recommended. But when you are in a place where you have control and you can say, okay, I'm going to acting class on pick a month. That's what I would do. Whenever I wanted to discover an emotion, I would pick a month and say, okay, for the whole month of August, I'm going to find out how I would react in this kind of situation. And then I'd throw myself in it and see. And then after that month, it's over. So try something where you have a limited exposure to it, if that's what you want to try, in your own controlled, safe environment. Because, you might have to play in Brokeback Mountain Part 2. Ang Lee might be looking for a reboot. So it's all about the context and the control that you can have over the situation. But really, at the end of the day, whether you do it that way or the way where it's basically forced on you, I guess the result is maybe the same, except when it comes from actual trauma, it has a more complex feel to it. And I think that's where that Christian Bale look I talk about kind of comes from. Not that I'm saying anything about what happened to him, but I mean, to have that stare, you have to have seen something really awful and still survived it because of the will to live. And that's what being a trisexual is about. So go try on the Late Flight Show.